It's okay that he was panicking. I have a whole section here that knows that I'm on a different clock. And that was before yesterday's time moved forward. Yeah, that I was on a different clock. I had folks texting me, "Where are you?" And I was back there in the back of the room. I was like, "It's okay. I am here." I didn't chicken out. And it's funny, this is so exciting. It was something that I put on a bucket list. No, I'm not dying, but, and I hope to not die anytime soon, but I did have a list of things that I wanted to accomplish. As you realize, I'm gonna live, I'm living. And doing this was one of them. About a year and a half ago, I came to Storytellers for the first time, and I heard Bill Graustein, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, I know who you are, and Juan Castillo tell their stories. And I'm impulsive, for those of you who know me, and I said, I'm gonna sign up and do that too. Never having told a story like out loud to anyone, but I thought, I have stories in my mind, and I can tell them. So it seems like a good idea at the moment, and and so hopefully at the end of the evening it will still be a good idea. With that, I'll get started. My story is called A Seed, and you'll come to understand why it's called this, why I titled it that, or maybe I'll change the title someday, who knows. I want to start by saying I'm a midwife, and I'm going to talk a little bit, not a lot of it, but a little bit about what I do. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and this story is about a patient. It's very striking, and when people find out that I'm a midwife, generally speaking, they think, oh, that's so awesome. You know, it's happy and nice outcomes and babies, you must love babies. And this story isn't about a baby, it's about a young woman. And it's very striking, and it had a huge influence on me and what I do today. And so with that, I'll get started. A 15-year-old black girl made an appointment to see a gynecologist, not a midwife, a doctor. And, because, you know, we all know there's a difference. Excuse me. And how did she know to do that? Well, she had been listening to conversations with her family about who they went to see for gynecologists and that kind of thing. And so she caught the name of the gynecologist, and she thought, maybe that person will help with the periods. And also, she had taken an interest in boys. So she said, I'm gonna nip this in the bud. I don't want any problems when that time comes, when the big deed comes. And so I want to be protected, and I have plans, and you know, all of this business she presented. And so I'm gonna go see this gynecologist. So she got the information, and weeks went by, and finally she got up the courage to call this name she overheard and to go see this person. She made an appointment, and after school, she detoured one day she's in high school, in her school uniform. And she went straight after school, took the bus out of her route home, and she goes to see the gynecologist. And she gets there, and they have her fill out some paperwork and, you know, answer the usual questionnaires, and then go into the exam room and get undressed. And now, she's never been sexually active. No one that she doesn't know has never seen her naked, so this is an issue. But she goes and does what she's told, obedient to that point. And she gets in there and has her gown on, and the doctor comes in and asks a few quick questions about her history, and then proceeds with the exam, but doesn't really explain anything, just proceeds. No chaperone, no one comes in. The doctor just proceeds. So the first part was, you know what, whack, whack. The speculum, we all know the speculum, quack, quack, it opens, and so he can see that's very painful for some women who haven't been sexually active. And then the second part of the exam is the digital part where he's feeling for where we feel for your organs and so forth. And that part was disconcerting, if nothing else. And then there was a third part where the doctor inserted not one but 2 fingers into her rectum, and said, whispered almost, "You might like this part," and finished the exam, had her get dressed, and then, said to meet him in the office. So, doing as she was told, she went into the office. "I know what would help you," he tells her. He gives her the pills, some pills, 6 months worth of pills actually, with little instruction, and says, come back and see him again in 6 months and he can give her some more. And not even really a call if there's any problem. And he says, I have to remember that girls who go to your school are nice girls after all, because she was a virgin and she was polite and she did what she was told. And so it was a shocking and tearful experience. And so something like that would move you to want to take care of people, yes? 5.5 months later, the pills are running out. And she goes back and she presents again, and the doctor says, to give you more pills, I have to examine you again. And thank you, that's a good reaction. And so the exam happens again. The girl obliges and she's tearful, but she does what she's told and she gets the pills. And off she goes, but she thinks, this is bullshit. This is not, I don't think this is supposed to happen like this. After that exam, but there were other things on the girl's mind. The other piece that was on her mind was, okay, she isn't sexually active yet, but she's thinking about it. She's not telling her parents that she's getting these pills, so she has to hide them. And what happens when they get the bill? Because this is going to be a problem. Okay, so first 6 months go by, quiet, nothing happens. Second 6 months proceeds, and her mother finds the pills. And her mother tells her father. And bedlam ensues. I had not given the doctor any money because I am the girl. He had not submitted any claims for insurance. He had not submitted any reimbursement. He had only given me a total of 12 packs of pills in exchange for nothing on my part except sorrow. No money, and so that was that piece of what he did. We'll get back to him. My parents were just, what is going on here? Where did you get these? I said so. How did you do that? There's no bill, no one contacted us, no doctor called us, no nurse called, nothing happened. How does that go on? And it still happens, of course, in this day and age because laws have changed. That's how it's supposed to be in order to protect folks from being abused. Not abused from the doctor, but abused from their parents who would beat them into the ground for pursuing care. But anyways, no, I'm not sexually active. That's preposterous. How did you go have a whole exam and you're not sexually active? No, I'm not. I really am not. And then over the time of these boisterous arguments and carrying on, things quieted down, because I think that the thought was, she might be a lot of things. She's sneaky, we know that. And my dad always had a problem with sneakiness. He was like, I don't like sneaky people, but if you want to get certain things done, you got to be sneaky. And then is she having sex? Is she not having sex? No, I wasn't at the time, but that was another big issue. But it all quieted down because they knew I could be all of those things, but I would not be knocked up. That would be one thing they did not have to worry about. I would not be pregnant. And because I know this story so well, I'm like I could take these papers and go and kind of go like this, but I wanted to be mindful of time. There's a Mexican proverb that says, they tried to bury us and they didn't know we were seeds. And so that's why I say this story is called The Seed, because this is me. And I'm gonna get back to this. In my parents' defense, they knew nothing of what I had done. At the risk of offending them, they were, I think, relieved about the no pregnancy thing, but didn't pursue and didn't know to pursue further. What goes beyond that? To ask, well, if all that went on, how did it go for you? Sometimes you're afraid. So what happened at that visit? Was it painful? Was it comfortable? Was he kind? He was a monster. He was none of that. That was fine. They didn't have to worry about that. But then they did have to go on to worry about some other things, because that turned out to be the beginning. While maintaining just about straight A's, and I would say the equivalent of straight A's, the high school I went to, we didn't have grading system of A, B, C, D. We had sort of honors, high pass, that kind of a grading system. And I maintained myself in the upper tiers. I participated in extracurricular activities. I got academic awards. I was, a national merit, honorable mention, all that stuff. I turned that sexual activity corner and ran into what do we call it? A destruction of partners. Destruction is a group of feral cats. Did you know that? Like, a pride of lions, that's a group of lions, it's called a pride. And I don't know, goose are called a gaggle. Well, feral cats are called a destruction, and that's for a good reason, because it was just a whole slew of bad partners, not boyfriends, just partners. And this went on until I call it the abacus years. And I call it the abacus years because my friend Kate, she laughs at this. My sister had a wooden abacus in a room we shared, and so it had beads that you could go clickety clack, 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 clack with the beads. And I would just clickety clack, clack, clack. Now y'all better not be thinking that I clicked 100 beads, because that was not true. But I did, just sort of you click and you think about people that you were with, and they mean nothing, they mean something, whatever, it goes on. And so, I just like saying the abacus years, because it was about being a little bit doing well, but at the flip side, being destructive. And you guys, I know you know adolescents like this. Everybody knows some kind of teenager like this. And if you know them, try and stop them and say, what's going on here? Because something's going on there. It's an interesting phenomenon. That seed needs watering. Basically, that's what's going on. Several years later, I was in college, because you think that with Dr. Ratchet, things die. Several years later, I was in college and I became really ill. And I was so ill that I needed to be admitted to the hospital, and I needed transfusions and pending surgery. And the resident who admitted me said that all female admissions needed a GYN exam, despite the fact that I wasn't there for a GYN reason. And so he said, I'll come and do the exam when you get settled in your room. I'll be right up there. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm super weak. I'm getting transfused. And I don't know the rules about hospital admissions. And at 2 a.m., he came to my room, and he did examine me with no speculum, with just his fingers. And he said, you're fine. I could have told him I was fine. But he left me, I was weak already, but he also left me feeling sullied. by that interaction with him, because it wasn't necessary. And I've also felt kind of stupid because I hadn't stood up for myself, even though what had happened to me before had happened to me before. And but if you don't know better and you're in a vulnerable position, and women often are for many different reasons, you don't say anything, and you just stand strong and quiet, and you don't mention it. And so he did that at 2 a.m. in a dimly lit room and didn't speak the whole time he was conducting his little whatever it was. And then he said, "Very good, everything seems normal." Of course it seems normal. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for something that's way far north of where you're checking. So, there that seed needs some TLC. But what I want to point out is that all these things are happening, and a bunch of other stuff too. And what that was, it wasn't that, the seed doesn't grow, it's getting composted by all of this. You think that waste is waste, but waste is good. And so things that are bad can turn into things that are good. And so that's what happened with that admission, basically. That a lot of stuff went on after that admission. Life went on, all kinds of good, bad, in between, mostly good and good and good and a little bit bad. And I'm going to fast forward to present day and me becoming a midwife. I have lots of stories that can be told about some that have to do with patients and some that have to do with me, but I'm telling those stories because those were sort of the seeds that were planted that made me want to take care of women and made me want to, they made me want to make sure that the experience that women having when they're trying to conduct self-care is one that is rich and that is compassionate, and that is not dirty, and they aren't assaulted, and they aren't abused. My work is really intimate, so it requires that I make fast friends, but we're not friends. It's a dicey little line that I'm walking. I have to get to know folks, but not your life story, because we don't really have time for that. We get 15, no more than 30 minutes. So and then I want to tell you a little bit about me, but we're not having coffee clatch. So, this is a professional setting. I want to be humorous, but this is not a comedy hour. I want to be respectful. And if you have had something, I need to elicit, if you've had some experience like I had, I need to know how to treat you, how to take care of you, how not to just rush right in and just, okay, gates open, let's go, because that's not how your experience should be. But it takes time to get those details from people that you met 5 minutes ago. And so it's a very fine line, and it's about being a chameleon, which is what I feel like I've had to, all of these experiences that I've had in my life have helped me to become a chameleon, but in a good way, not in a fake way, so that when I'm dealing with, and in that comes, here are my papers, in that comes race and culture and your beliefs and your life experiences. All of that plays a part. There's an intersection there with who you are in your sexuality, and all that comes into play when you're trying to care for someone. And every woman is not the same, so you can't just walk in and assume. And some are married and some are not, and some are with same-sex partners and some are not, and some are with no partners, and some are teenagers and some are out of menopause a long time ago. And so you have to be mindful of all of that stuff. I have had white women who did not really want me to take care of them because I'm black and I look the way I look. And then I still try, and then sometimes they find out I went to Wesleyan and I went to Yale, and okay, maybe you are okay after all. And I've traveled, in different parts of the world. Oh, I've traveled there too. Okay, I'll lie down. And then, and then, a little more details. Yes, and I have children, and they went to college. Okay, I'll open up. And so then it goes like that. I have had Latina women who say to me in English, I want someone who speaks Spanish. And then I have to say to them in Spanish, yo soy la persona que habla español en esta clínica. Está bien si yo hago el examen. And then they say, oh. Qué sorpresa. And I say to them, somos de todos colores. We come in all colors. Don't pretend that you think we only come in one color, yours. So, thank you. And then there are even, black folks who are, I would rather someone, not you. Why? You don't know why. All people have all kinds of reasons why they don't trust. And the people of color especially, they've been abused, they've been assaulted, they've been experimented on, they've had all kinds of experiences that were unpleasant, so you have to take that into account when you're caring for them. When I went into this business, I initially went into working into community health centers, public health clinics, and that kind of thing, because I said, I want to give good care to my people. And I even, for a very short stint, went to the Pine Ridge Reservation for the Lakota Sioux in South Dakota. My people, across the board, I'm going to take care of my people because they have been abused and they have been assaulted and they have been this and that. Well, you know what? So has everybody. And this is a gift. I was called to do this, and it's a gift. And if you're a faithful person, then a gift from God. So is it only certain people that get to share the gift? That's not fair. That's not right. I was invited by a private practice to come and join the practice, and they said, do you want to come and take care of a diverse group of women? All kinds of women, all levels of education, all colors, all persuasion, all comers. I thought, I had been seeing these people in the hospital delivering babies right beside me, and I thought that they thought I was invisible because they didn't really engage with me. And I think that it's easy to have people think that you are invisible. Sometimes we are, but sometimes you just need to say hi. And so I was really honored to do that, and that I learned a lot more lessons in that group, and I think I brought a lot to the group, and it's really important. You can't change the world, you can't change anything if you don't expose yourself. If you leave yourself right in your own little niche, then it's not in your own little circle, then nothing changes. There is no change. So the last thing I want to bring up is that some people say, well, why would you want to do something that would remind you of those negative experiences that you had from the beginning? And they were really negative. I was assaulted, and legally so, and then was quiet about it. Didn't even share with people. I didn't even share that with my, you have your little girlfriends. I didn't even tell them that. I just told them that I was on the pill. And they were like, you're so smart. You're just so smart. Now you're not going to get pregnant, and now you're going to just do whatever you want, and you're always like 2 steps ahead of all of us. And no, I'm not so smart. I just didn't tell because I'm also a vault, which comes in handy when you're in my business. You don't want to be telling people's business. So I wonder if Dr. Ratchet would have treated me sometimes that way if I didn't look the way I do, if I wasn't a 15-year-old girl from inner city who presented by herself. I wonder if Dr. Sneaky Pants would he have done that to me if I looked like his sister or his cousin? I don't know. I'm not gonna know. Dr. Ratchet's dead, and hallelujah. He was dead by the time I went to high school. By the time I went to graduate school. And who knows where Dr. Sneaky Pants is. But what I do know is what the change that I can make and how doing this work has helped me to heal. Helping others has helped me heal. And not in a weird sort of way, like every person I meet, like, ooh, I'm healing more every day. It's not like that. It's just sort of an overall healing. I feel like I'm helping the community to heal, and I'm helping myself as well. I think it's really important that use your voice for yourself and for others. You are not invisible, whether you're doing good deeds or whether you're doing the devil's handiwork. You are seen. So just know that somebody sees you. Be careful and do it well. And know that any scars that you have, because I have scars, are not that's not your whole story. That's part of what makes your story. But the ending, you make yourself. Thank you. Yeah, that was hard. That was a hard story.